Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod. I'm here to talk about week 6 of Big Brother 25. This week we entered the Humiliverse. We met Zaddy, Josh Duhamel. There were little piggies and canoes. And that's just talking about New York City's hottest new club. I'm going to talk about all 3 of this week's episodes, and at the end I'm going to do an updated player ranking based on how well everyone's playing in the game as of the end of Thursday night's episode. We come into the Sunday episode. The show opens with Izzy farting multicolored poofs. Cam is pissed in DR, cursing like a sailor. Felicia says everyone is frazzled in their britches, which is true. Bowie is upset that everyone is spineless and blindsided her, so she's crying and wiping her little tears. Everyone is a have-not this week, and why? This is just misery. All they were doing all week was complaining about how hungry they were and talking about what kind of food they wanted to eat. Bowie Jane cries to the ladies in the comic room. Sari tells her that she still has the bye-bye bitches. She said she's not sure if she wants that. Felicia tells her to stop crying and put on her big girl panties and play the game. Bowie feels unheard. She's upset that everyone lied to her. Now Matt is upset that Felicia dismissed him from the room, and this is all just becoming a big old mess. Izzy tells Bowie Jane that now she's their spy for Cam, and she says, "I don't want to be," and rolls her eyes. She calls them cheeky in the diary room. I believe she also calls them dicks. Sari has a confessional where she says that Cameron's HOHs are a never-ending nightmare. Cameron meets the ladies in the comic room, and Sari tells him that Red was throwing Cam under the bus. Sari's plan is to act like she took Red out for Cameron's benefit. Cam sees right through this BS. He's feeling chaotic. Bowie Jane would call him a cheeky dick. He tells them all that he's going to nominate Jag and Blue. The Humiliverse bank teller machine tells them that their first humiliation will be in the bathroom. They have to announce that they're going to the bathroom with a megaphone. In the bathroom, there's a stinkometer, and if the stinkometer gets to 10, they all have to wear gas masks around the house. I wonder, how does the stinkometer work? Blue is not happy about the stinkometer. She says, "Girl, I'm big mad." Felicia shows off her mask. Stunning. Sari announces, "Sari going to pee," and then she hits a 10 on the stinkometer. Now that's some pee. You should drink some water, Sari. Cam and Bowie meet to talk about everyone treating them like dum-dums. Jag and Izzy play pool, and he talks about his experience being sick in his town. He talks about his experiences with racism, and it's really interesting to see a different perspective on the show, and it's all the more reason why diversity is important. The editors dunk on Felicia. They show her asking for a final 2 with Jared, telling him that she'd rather be in the final 2 with him than Sari. I don't think this happened this week, but okay, go off. Creative writing. Jared goes right to Sari. Sari calls Felicia a hot mess. Flashback to Felicia asking Red if he's taking a cupcake home with him. Then Sari and Matt are talking smack about Felicia. This editing was really a sloppy mess. We get a clip of Felicia sleep singing. This is so funny. That was my impression of Felicia sleep singing because I don't know how to upload a clip. Blue and Cam are gonna talk. He tells her that he's nominating her alongside Jag. She brings out her famous fake cry. Cam says that Blue doesn't see the big picture, but he holds the paintbrush. Say what you will about Cameron, but he really does have a way with words. Cam then tells Jag that he wants to nominate Jag and Blue, but he knows that it won't benefit him, so he tries to make a mutual safety deal with Jag. We get a fun bromance type scene with Jag and Matt texting on their phones, which are really their mic packs and some imagination. America wishes that she and Corey had such chemistry. The fake texting turns into fake sexting, and Big Brother changes the subject quickly back to Cam's chaos. He tells everyone that he's nominating Jag and Blue at the nomination ceremony as Cam is giving his noms. Obviously, it's Humiliverse week, so Cam has to retrieve some pies, and he has to pie everyone who's safe. I love this. It's giving me big key wheel energy, but a lot more fun. And maybe I'm immature, but it's funny seeing everyone get pied. Felicia thinks that she's safe, so she takes her fake tooth out and puts it on the table because she thinks she's getting pied. And then Cam pies Jag, and she puts the tooth back in. Blue whips her eyelashes off quickly before she gets pied, and then Izzy and Felicia end up being the 2 who are nominated. This was one of the best nomination ceremonies that we've had in a long time. Not because of who was nominated or because of who was HOH, but it was just fun. It was fun TV. I liked the pies. Bring back the pies. So we get to the Wednesday episode. For some reason, it's a 2-hour episode, and there's nothing really too special that happens in this episode. The episode opens reminding us that everyone is covered in pie. Cameron reminds us that he thinks that Sari is the president, Felicia's the vice president, and Izzy is the secretary of defense. So he thinks going after the president is an amateur move, but why? Wouldn't you want to just go after the president? Felicia makes it clear to the other house guests that she does not want pie-covered hugs, and tells us that Cam is full of shit. She's coming after him like a firecracker. Jag is grateful to Cam, but still doesn't trust him. Felicia meets with Cam. She throws Sari and Izzy under the bus for the Red eviction. Cameron says that his intense eye contact drew this truth from Felicia. He says that Chaos Week has begun. Cameron tells Felicia that she's a pawn, and the producers obviously tell Felicia to remind us that pawns do go home, because we the viewers are dum-dums that the show doesn't trust to understand basic concepts after all these years. Izzy meets with Cam. She tells us that she can't stand Cameron, but is trying to smooth things over. They exchange niceties, and Cameron calls it a merry-go-round of bullshit. Then carnival music plays, but only briefly. I needed more carnival music. Izzy smartly deduces that Cirie is Cameron's choice for a replacement nominee. Elsewhere in the house, America is fired up that big moves are being made, and she seems inspired. Cirie says that her Cirie senses are tingling, that she may be the target, so she goes to butter Cam up. She gags herself with her finger at the thought of it. Cameron acknowledges that the president is frazzled, and he stays committed to targeting her. Izzy tells Cirie that if she wins the veto, she won't use it on herself to protect Cirie. I want to live in a universe where this happened. As a producer, I would walk into that house with a veto. I would say, Izzy, you won the random veto. Congratulations. How are you going to use it? Then, for whatever reason, Cameron laughs like a Chucky doll, and we go to commercial. After the break, Cameron tells Jag that keeping him safe is his olive branch. He wants, and he does need, Jag to stay loyal to him. He pretty much threatens Jag, so not the best tactic. Matt and Jag later hug and flex to the camera to celebrate Jag being safe. They name themselves the Minutemen Alliance. Jag says that he stands Derek and Cody, which is a big red flag to me as a viewer. Jared tells Cam that things are about to get bananas. That's right, Jared. They are. Cameron then takes personal credit for all of the Humiliverse punishments. You didn't come up with the stinkometer, Cameron. In the diary room, Cam lets us in on the plan to backdoor Cirie, but he's still being cryptic with Jared, but Jared can sense the plan anyway. They go to pick players for the veto competition. Felicia sits on the couch and not in the nominations chair, and it's pretty hilarious. Cameron, aka Jigsaw, wants to see Cirie picked, so if she wins, she has to choose between those that she loves. Felicia wants Jared to play in the veto and calls him her son in the house, and then they quickly cut the camera to Cirie's face, which was pretty funny. Matt, Jared, and Jag get picked to play in the veto. Jared wants to win the veto, so Cam will have to tell him what his plan is. Izzy have a cute moment of friendship and love. Izzy's opening up about not feeling confident, and Cirie sees her younger self in Izzy. Cirie cries about it in the diary room, and she says that they are hot messes. I liked this. This was a great, genuine friendship moment. Josh Duhamel comes on screen to promote buddy games. America calls Josh a certified zaddy, and then 2 seconds later, oh look, Zaddy is in the backyard. Matt is a huge stan for Zaddy Josh. The challenge is spinning in a chair and then skee-balling for points, and it's a prize swap veto. Poor Felicia's up first, and she gets so dizzy and she falls over so hard, and it's not even funny. It's actually really scary. They give Dizzy Izzy Fred Flintstone tiptoe bowling sound effects as she skitters across the apparatus. Izzy gets out first, and she gets the veto. Obviously, someone's going to take it from her. Then Zaddy Josh tells us that in every round, the chair is going to spin faster, and they'll have less time. Poor Felicia, save her soul. So Felicia falls down again, and it's just as scary the second time. She gets more points than Cameron, and Cameron's out. He wins a punishment called Piggy Pals, and he gives the punishment to Izzy. We'll talk about that later. In the third round, this is when the challenge starts getting tedious and repetitive, and Felicia is sweating and wincing and struggling to get through the challenge, but it seems like maybe Big Brother slowed down the wheel. After her turn, she collapses, and this is really scary and sad. So Felicia's laying on the ground not moving, and they decide to cut to commercial. And this is cruel to the TV-only audience. I bet searches for "Did Felicia die?" spiked on Google during this commercial break. We come back from the commercial break, and turns out Felicia is feeling fine. She's joking around with Zaddy Josh. He sends her fish, and she wins a European vacation, and then she trades it away for the veto. So Cameron has a European vacation. In the fourth round, Jared gets out, and he wins a kayak companion's punishment. He takes the veto from Felicia, so she gets this punishment. And in the final round, Jag versus Matt. Matt wins. Jag gets $5,000 and decides to keep it. Good for him. Matt decides to keep a punishment instead of taking the $5,000 or the veto because he mistakes the punishment for spending time with celebrity Zaddy Josh. And they all make fun of him for thinking that the prize that said spend time with Josh Duhamel was really spending time with him. But I feel like legally he needs to spend time with Josh Duhamel after winning that prize. Duhamel. Izzy picks Cam to be her piggy pal. Felicia picks Cirie as her kayak companion. And then Jared wins the POV. Izzy says that Jared winning the POV is better than her winning. So Zaddy Josh has to leave, and Matt finds out that they're not hanging out. Cirie and Felicia get their kayak punishment, and they're so cute and silly. They're stuck in a kayak together for 48 hours, and Felicia and Cirie needed their own show. This is one of the funniest scenes in Big Brother history. It turns out that Matt has to hang out with a cardboard cutout of Zaddy Josh for the week, and this was funny on feeds. Matt was really dedicated to it. I got really confused by the cardboard cutout on the live feeds because they kept calling it Josh, and then I was like, who's Josh? And then I remembered, oh wait, that's a cardboard cutout. Cam finally tells Jared that his master plan is to put Suri up next to Izzy, but still target Izzy, which doesn't seem like a very good plan. Cam wants to isolate Suri, and he says, Suri on an island. How poetic. He really does just have a way with words. Izzy and Cam have to be piggy pals. They have 12 hours to transfer some dirt into a pool, or Izzy won't be able to compete in POV next week. And Cam doesn't even like Izzy. I don't know why he helped her with this. He should have just not helped. Later on, all of the house guests have to put on their gas masks because Matt rips a 10 in the bathroom. They take a really cute selfie in their masks. Soon after, we get a montage of America seducing Corey. Corey says that his mom is watching the feeds, so he doesn't want to do anything, but then they do some smoochies, and they'll eventually be more salacious on the live feeds, but that won't make the show. Sorry, Mom. Cameron says that the piggy challenge is harder than carrying weapons in Afghanistan. Okay. But they end up completing their challenge and they have to roll around in the mud in their piggy costumes, which looks so fun. After 2 hours, we conclude with the veto meeting being super anticlimactic. Jared doesn't use it. Felicia says it's on like popcorn. And Izzy says that she refuses to be voted out as a piggy by swine Cameron. And my thoughts are, I liked the 2-hour Wednesday episode. They had a lot more space in the 2-hour episode to cover a lot more house happenings and paint the picture of what was happening in the game. I actually feel like I would prefer a 2-hour Thursday episode because that's the biggest chunk of time in the week between Monday and Thursday when most of the gameplay actually happens. So I actually think a 2-hour episode every Thursday would be nice. An hour of edited show and then an hour of Julie and her shenanigans. But I had time for it. So we finally get to the Thursday episode. Julie is wearing a gorgeous salmon dress looking classic. After the veto, Felicia and Izzy are both counting on Suri's vote. Suri hopes that the house wants to keep Izzy. Izzy is confident that she and Suri's wheeling and dealing throughout the game keep her safe. The show shows America starting to scheme against Izzy, but Corey isn't hearing it. Later on, Suri and Felicia's punishment ends. I think it's so great the way that Felicia throws her helmet down on the ground, like it's a toy that she's just had enough of. On the live feeds after this punishment ended, the game really started to heat up. This is around the time that America woke up at about 6 p.m. and told Corey, I'm ready to play the game. They speed edit through America, laying the game out there for Cam. This was so good on the feeds of her just telling him everything he didn't know about the game. The way it's edited really doesn't give any credit to America for the work that she was putting in with Cam. Then America goes and talks to Matt, and she gets some trust from him. He tells her about his power, and he also tells her that he knows that Suri played in the competition to win the power. Later on, America tells this to Corey, and Corey's upset that Suri is telling Matt things and not telling him things. So because of this, he is incensed. This is where the editing of the show goes into a very storytelling-y alternate universe, because on the edited show, Corey is putting in all the legwork to make this flip happen, but in reality, America was putting in the 10,000 hours to make the flip happen. America got Jag on board, not Corey. So just worthy of note that the show is giving Corey all the credit for America's hard work. So back to the show, Corey realizes that he's being played. Corey goes to Jag and basically just tells Jag that the alliances that he's in are fake, and that he knows that they're fake, because his allies told him that they're fake. America is turned on by Corey's strategizing. Further proof that the editing is a mess, Bowie Jane was always going to vote Izzy out. She was a locked vote from the beginning of this whole debacle, and the show acts like Bowie Jane was one of the last votes that Corey secured. Corey then goes to Matt and basically tells him that all of his alliances are fake too, so this seemingly secures Matt's votes as well. And the show makes it seem like Corey convinced Mimi to vote with him when Mimi was always going to vote to keep Felicia. This whole chain of events could have really done with a 2-hour Thursday episode. Back to the live events for the evening, it's time for the nominee speeches. Felicia gives one of the most soothing speeches of all time. Izzy's speech is not as soothing. It's kind of erratic and you can tell that she knows that she's going to be evicted. Izzy's vibe from this was hinting to me that I was not going to get the blindside that I was looking for this evening. We get to the votes. Everyone ends up voting Izzy out except for Suri. Blue even says that she happily votes to evict Izzy. So obviously the game was afoot today in the Big Brother house. So by a vote of 8-1, Izzy is evicted from the house. Izzy gets a little physically rough with Cameron and Corey on the way out, which I don't love. And she's also calling them names on the way out. Obviously stuff happened before this eviction that I'm not attuned to, but you're already voted out. There's no need to go full cornbread. In the interview, Izzy blames Corey for her eviction. Julie doesn't get to ask her favorite question of who's the secret pair in the house because Izzy already knows. In her goodbye message, Suri tells Izzy that she's a Fields now forever, which is nice. We leave off with the wall competition. Julie tells them that the jury will be 7 people because of nostalgic reasons. I hate this. It screams cheapness to me. It just really makes me feel like they didn't want to pay to have 2 more people in the jury. Julie wraps things up, marching across the stage, gutturally projecting her lines to tell us that next week is a double eviction. So something to look forward to, and then after that, we'll be at the jury stage. So we have to say goodbye to Izzy, who was ninth in my original player rankings at the beginning of the season. She hit a high for me last week when I put her in 5th place overall because I felt like her game was really heating up and I was seeing the Fields family really beginning to steamroll to the end game. The positives for Izzy are that she's super charismatic. I think that she brings a lot of fun, intense energy to the show. She's such a fun character, and I regret that we didn't get to see her personal story on the edited show. Like, we found out that she doesn't have a lot of confidence and she plays the flute, but I would have liked to see more of Izzy's backstory. What makes Izzy Izzy for real? More of her strengths are that she's super passionate, intelligent. She's really a great people person. She had a lot of friends in the Big Brother house. The negatives for Izzy were twofold. A, if she just didn't see value in somebody or wouldn't be friends with them outside the Big Brother house, she wasn't putting in the time to get to know them or to try to work with them in the game. And then also she was advertising the people that she was allies with. And the people that she was allied with did put in the time to make friends with the other side of the house, to the point that the other side of the house always saw Izzy as the first person that they would come for when they won HOH. Which ends up in a situation like this, where someone on the opposing side of the house that you put no effort into wins HOH, and then a bunch of other people you didn't put time into that don't feel valued by you decide to vote you out. Overall, I feel like Izzy leaving the game at this point is probably the best thing that could happen if we're looking for fun, inventive, fresh gameplay. It frees up a spot in the end game for somebody else to make their way a little bit further. I don't think we would have seen much more from Izzy. I would have liked to see the Izzy HOH week just for fun, but I also wanted to see Izzy win that veto and not use it on herself. There's so many things that I can't have in this world. So goodbye, Izzy, and welcome back to the real world. I definitely am going to follow you on social media because I want to see more videos of you impassionately playing the flute. And with that, let's get into some rankings for the week. In 11th place for the week, I have Cameron again. So I actually have to give a lot of credit to Cameron for playing the game hard this week. The problem is that Cameron came into last week as somebody who was not going to win Big Brother, had zero chance of winning Big Brother. So if you have zero shot at winning the game, the best thing you could do is take big shots, go for broke, target the power players. But it doesn't take away the fact that you have zero shot at winning the game. You're just making moves because you don't want to look stupid on TV at that point. So credit to him because I feel like he reclaimed maybe a little bit of his dignity this week. But in terms of the game, he comes out of it still a huge threat to everybody in the house. Nobody wants him there. Even if he makes it to the final two, I can't see him getting enough votes to win against anybody else on this cast. I guess the way that he can move out of last place is if he can actually be in an alliance that really wants to have him voting with them, working collaboratively. That could get him out of last place, but right now I'm not so confident that he's in an alliance. In 10th place, I have Jared, and last week I had Jared much higher. I had him as number 4, but the reason I had him so high wasn't his own good gameplay. It was the fact that he had a secret relationship with his mother in the house that was keeping them both extremely safe and covered from either direction. But now the house sees Jared and Suri as a duo, regardless of whether they're related. So them hiding the fact that they're related becomes a little bit less relevant and powerful if everyone sees them as a duo that's working together anyway. Half the house ganging up to talk badly about him is not good for his game. Izzy leaving, definitely not good for his game. People don't want to give information to Blue because Blue will tell him that's a problem for his game. Half the house want to nominate him and Suri and actually vote him out. He had a verbal argument on the feeds with Corey today. Overall, it's a lot of bad. I'm trying to find the good. The good is that Suri is still his mom and she's still there and she's still good at the game. At number 9, I have Blue, and I had her as number 6 last week. It's not good that her good friend and number 1 platonic ally, Jag, no longer trusts her and can tell her information. She's in the mix of targets for now the majority of the house with Jared and Suri. There are a lot of combinations of ways that she could find herself on the block, and if the house did vote out Jared and Suri, she would be going home soon after, right? Add those things with the fact that I think that she's just a terrible game player and doesn't have any agency to get herself out of a sticky situation if she finds herself in one, and I can't really see her winning the game at this point, so it's a 9 for me, dog. At number 8, I have Bowie, who was also 8th last week, and I'm here for standing Bowie Jane. I want the FBJ tattoo, I totally get it, but it was nice to see Bowie finally starting to play the game this week. It was nice to see her getting involved, being an important part of a plan that ended up flipping the house. Unfortunately, while she was involved in the plan, she wasn't spearheading the plan. It wasn't her idea, so I can't give her credit for it. But I like what I'm seeing from Bowie Jane. I'm glad that she's not a pushover. I'm glad that she has a voice and she speaks up. I just want to see more of it moving forward. And at number 7, I have Felicia. I am so glad and grateful that Felicia didn't go home this week. I got way too close for comfort to thinking about how I would say goodbye to Felicia in this video. The fact that she's still there is a blessing, and her being on the block and initially being the house target and everyone just realizing, why are we wasting this vote on Felicia, is exactly why I don't think that she's going anywhere anytime soon. Now that they've had the realization that they don't want to vote her out and that they just want to keep her in the game, Felicia sneaks by a few weeks, right? And she has Mimi. So the house has realized that they see value in keeping Felicia around because they feel like they can beat her. Meanwhile, Felicia does have some very strong allies in Jared, in Cirie, in Mimi. And all of these allies are bigger targets than her. If the two sides of the house can ping pong HOHs back and forth, Felicia slips through to the end, and Felicia very well could be the winner of this season. Is she playing a good game? Not really, but if she gets to the end, if she's in those final two chairs, how do you not vote for her? She's the oldest woman that's ever been on the show, and she was out here this week diving for a power of veto like a college volleyball player. In 6th place this week, I have Jag, who last week I had in 11th. I had to really think about this. The house dynamic is completely different than it was 2 weeks ago. I think that Jag this week has built some really strong relationships with the side of the house that flipped the vote. He built stronger bonds this week with Corey, with America, with Mimi. He tightened his relationship with Matt, and these are all super valuable relationships that he didn't really have, and players should seek to form relationships like this earlier in the game, but the fact that he's making them now is a plus for his game. It's enough of a plus to actually bump him up a few slots over other players who aren't doing this. And a lot of these opportunities have been given to him, or he's stumbling into them, but he's finding them and he's grateful for them. What he does with them moving forward is another story. At number 5, I put America, who last week I had her as 10th. And the reason why I have her so high up, even though she's in such a place where she could go home next week, is she did that ish this week. America woke up one day and said, I want to play the game. And she put in the work. She pulled aside Cameron, Jag. She was putting in work with Matt. She was putting in time with Mimi. America put in the 10,000 hours for this vote flip. And the fact that she put in the effort and actually made it happen, she's capable of doing things in the game. And that's why I put her as number 5. Like I said, I'm worried about her. I think that she can go home next, but she's playing the game and she's doing something successfully, which is better than actually most people below her on this list. At number 4, I have Cirie, which is sad to me because she was number 1 last week. And I just think that Cirie's game kind of fell apart. Not completely, but it fell apart this week. Losing Izzy is not good. Everyone seeing her and Jared as a clear pair takes away a huge asset from her game. So it's not awful. I think that she can readjust, but is she playing the best game in the house right now? It's not awful. Her house didn't burn down to the ground. It's more like her room is very messy and there's toys and clothes all over the floor, and she could pick them up and fold them all up and put them back together. She just has to do it, and then when she does it, I'll give her credit for it. But I'll say it 100 times, I believe that Cirie is capable of fixing the situation and getting back on top. At number 3, I have Corey, and I'll give Corey credit for identifying that his game was going in the wrong direction. He was not on pace and on track to win Big Brother. He thought carefully about it. He decided to join in on the move to vote out Izzy, a move that America should get credit for. America's going to take the blame for, but he on the show and potentially in the end can take credit for this big move. Not very many big moves have been made so far. This is one that he can have as a feather in his cap. He also is more well insulated in the game than America, especially with his relationship with the men in the house, where his relationship with Matt, his relationship with Jag, his relationship with Jared, if he can fix it. He has a relationship with Cam. His biggest advantage is he has a close one-on-one relationship with everybody in the house to some degree. So if he finds himself in trouble or if he finds himself on the block against America, I think that Corey will have the votes to stay. I struggled with this number 1 placement this week. I ended up deciding that at number 2, I have Mimi. As I always say, Mimi's always floating towards the top of the list. And it could have gone wrong for Mimi because at some point in time, she was one of only 2 people voting to keep Felicia. It's not the best that her alliance was going to vote against her and not tell her. But as usual, by kind of doing nothing, she kind of stumbles into this awesome spot where her alliance that was trying to trick her now needs her more than ever. And the other alliance is trying to get her on their side as well. So she's in the middle of these opposing factions and nobody's coming for her in the foreseeable future. Nobody's ever really mentioning her name as a serious target. She knows how to play the game and she has the will to win. Mimi is a very defensive player. She comes up with plans when things aren't going her way, or if someone's coming for her, or if her game is in danger. Whereas a lot of players in this house are very offensive. They're always looking for plans of attack. They're always looking to stage a heist. But when you're in a house where everyone is on the offense, to be on the defense is probably a really good thing. There's bullets flying everywhere. Just hide. So at number one, for the first time in my rankings, I have Matt. So congratulations to Matt, and by proxy, congratulations to Josh Zaddy for making it onto the number one spot. But Matt's in a really good place, very similar to Mimi. He's in a good middle spot. I just think he has stronger bonds and relationships because he does play the game a little bit more actively than Mimi, a lot more actively than Mimi actually. And he has the final two with Jag. He has relationships with Corey and America. He's also tight with Suri and Jared. So there's options that he can go and he can make decisions offensively and defensively. So I think he's a really flexible player. I think we're also getting really close to a point in the game where if they decide they want to get Matt out, they may not be able to if they wanted to. I'm starting to get big winner vibes. When you start imagining like how could this person get voted out and you can't really think of that scenario, that's usually a good sign that they might be the winner of the season. And right now, that's what I'm feeling for Matt, and a little bit Mimi, but more Matt. So with that, I know this has been a long video. By the time you're watching this, there's probably a new HOH. By the time I'm editing this, there's probably nominations done already. So drop a like, drop a comment. What did you think about this week of Big Brother? What did you think of Cameron as an HOH? I'll be back next week to talk about week 7. At that time, we would have had a double eviction, so 2 of these people will be gone by the time you hear from me next. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss it. Until then, I hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe. Bye.